Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Jump Podcast. If this is your first time here, so happy that you can join us. Now, I'm talking about jump, not jumping up and down. I'm talking about jumping into greatness. And that's what we're here to do. I bring interesting guests, just like you and me, to help you get to that next level. So if you're ready to get to that next level, let's make some noise for my guest. Let's go, Chris.
What's up? What's up?
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay, Charles. How you doing, man? It's good to be
I'm
here.
I'm so glad that you're here on the show. We were talking behind scenes and getting to know each other, and I'm really interested into getting to know your story and what it's all about. But let's get to know who Chris is. Born and raised, where are you from?
All right. Originally, I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Oh man, so we gotta stop about the food right off the bat, man. Tell us the favorite thing right there, the food. Talk about the
Oh,
favorite dish.
yeah. I mean, I've since moved away. I've been gone for about 8 or 9 years now. My parents still there, so I do get to visit quite often. But yeah, one thing that I definitely miss is the food. I did marry a Jamaican, right? So she knows how to
Okay.
cook. She knows how to throw down, so that helps. And she adds a little seasoning to stuff, and it's really good. But yeah, one of the best places probably I miss the most is a place called Raising Cane's. Now they have since become a bit of a franchise because they were so successful. But they started right there next to LSU, go Tigers, right where they first started there. And now they're this big franchise. But that's probably one of my favorite places. It's always been my, if I have one last meal, yeah, I'm going with Raising Cane's, man.
All right. So the little boy and you growing up, what did you dream about, man? What was your fantasy about becoming?
Yeah. My mom used to always tell me when I was like 5, I always said I wanted to be a rock collector. I don't know why, but hey, that's kind of what I must have been into at the time. But
Interesting.
so yeah, I mean, I kind of started doing that, but I mean, as I got older, I kind of started doing other things. I remember one thing I always had the entrepreneurial spirit though, right? So we used to like have candy and fundraisers and stuff at school. And I remember when I was like 8, 9 years old, I would go door to door selling the candy for the fundraiser. And the candy was like maybe $3 or something, but I would sell it for like 6 and pocket the rest. I don't know how ethical that was, Charles, but uh that was just me thinking, I'm spending my time and my money, to go out here and do this. So I might as well make a little something on the side. I mean, people were just like, oh, look at the cute kid. I'm just like, yep, and I'm pocketing his cash. So I've always
Listen,
had been a little bit of an entrepreneur, always had something on the side going, and finally landed on something that started really working out well.
listen, that's entrepreneurial bug right there. So how'd from that, where did you move to? What was the next step?
Yeah, so we were pregnant with our first son. We had been married for a few years, finally was getting ready to have our first son. And we had jobs. They weren't the greatest jobs in the world, but they were just paying the bills. We were that kind of family where, if one catastrophic thing happened, whether it's the house or the car or whatever, we'd be in a world of trouble. So I needed to find a way to make some extra money. My wife expressed to me that she wanted to stay home with our son full time. And I was like, man, how am I going to afford this? I couldn't afford it. And I told her that we can't and that she needs to at least have a part-time job. But she looked at me and said, Chris, you need to figure this out. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had to put on my big boy pants really quick. I went online, Googled a whole bunch of garbage, how to make money online, and came across a lot of trash. I tried a lot of it too, but
Hmm.
eventually came to the point to where I stumbled across blogging and affiliate marketing. And about a year and a half after that, I was able to have her quit her job. About 2 years in, I was able to quit mine, and thankfully, it's like been almost 4 or 5 years ago now, which is crazy to think about. But that's where we are now.
So let's backtrack 2 steps, because when the wife tells her husband, I need to stay home, you need to figure out the second income. As a man, okay, as a black man, the alarms are going off.
Yeah,
Every paper you look at looks like a bill. Okay.
yo, who you telling?
So, how did you get that courage to jump, to say, something? Okay, dear, I'm going to try this. I'm going to jump into action.
Well, I've always had some type of secondary income. So I always had something going on the side. I moonlight as a DJ every now and then. I've bought and sold clothes online, bought and sold laptops. I've done all types of randomness, but none of it really justified the amount of time I was putting into it with the amount of money I was getting back from it, right? So when she told me that she wanted to stay home, we were going to be losing like a 40 or 50 or so $1,000, into the house a year.
Mhm.
So like, how do you replace that?
Right.
So I went online. I stumbled across this guy on YouTube. Oh gosh, I'm just remembering this. Um, his name was the Lazy Stoner, and he talked about how he blogged online and drove traffic to it, and what people would click his links and buy stuff, and then he would make money as an affiliate on the back end of it. And he made it. That was his. Now that I look back at it, that was his shtick. It was that, hey, I'm super lazy and I'm making all this money, you know. So, but I bought into it like hook, line, and sinker, and I jumped into it, and I tried to build up a couple of websites exactly how he mentioned it. I didn't buy his course or anything. I was just looking at his free YouTube stuff. And I sat back and waited for the money to come in, and obviously nothing happened. Got $0 from it, and I thought I did something wrong. And I was like, well, what did I do wrong? What I realized later on was that a lot of what he was doing worked like maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Okay.
And that's kind of what happens when you jump into, just free content, this random guy on YouTube, which is basically who he was to me. But because he seemed like he knew what he was talking about and he had the confidence, I was like, okay, he does know what he's talking about. But I didn't let that stop me. I did still understand the business model enough to
Yes.
where, okay, this can work. I just got to find the right way to do it. So I went ahead and invested in myself. I actually finally bought a training course and a mentor to help
Mhm.
me with this kind of stuff. And bing, bang, boom, about a year and a half later, I was making a full time income with it, which is kind of crazy to think about at the time. But it was scary. I had to put I had to think about what I was going to do. I couldn't just do it. I had a wife and a son on the way. At this time, he was already born, and I couldn't just, like, a single man, just like quit my job and be like, okay, I'll figure it out tomorrow, kind of a thing. No, I had to make sure I had a plan in place. So, I started using what's the avalanche method, and all these financial independence people started using the avalanche method to pay off all of my debt. Took out all of my credit cards, got completely debt free outside of the mortgage, and I remember we refied the house, got the mortgage payment a little lower, just so we wouldn't have to worry about it. And once we did all of that kind of stuff, we had enough money to really survive. So I was like, okay, if I'm making enough money doing this now, doing working on it part time while I was still working a full time job, how much more so would I be able to make with it if I actually could give it 8 hours a day just on the side hustle? And when I kind of had that in mind, a couple of things happened at work that kind of ticked me off. And I was like, you know what, guys, I'm done. I went ahead and jumped. And I was like, worst case scenario, I just get another job. That's kind of the way that I looked at it.
Mhm.
And let's just give it a chance for a year. Then a year came and went, and 2 years came and went, and here we are about 4.5, 5 years later, and we're still going. So I'm trying to stave off employment as much as possible.
So basically, your job pushed you out the plane.
Yeah, they did it. They had approved of a vacation, and
Uh-huh.
I made all of the changes and got the plane ticket, got the hotel, yada yada, ready to go. Just for them, like the week before, to say, "Hey, we're canceling your vacation," and they're not going to do anything to reimburse me for everything that's there. And I told them, I don't need this job, right? I'm making like 3 times as much money with my side hustle.
Right.
And at that point, I was just like, you know what, guys, I think I'm done. And I gave them my 2 weeks, and that was it.
And then you went on your nice vacation.
And I went on my nice vacation. I sure did. And I enjoyed it. And I came back and had no idea what to do because I was like, man, I got to work for myself now, right? And all of a sudden I had all this time. And that's a whole nother podcast, probably for another episode
All
on how
right.
you learn how to use your time management. But
Well, then let's do this though. For people that don't understand bloggers, blogging, what you're doing, break it down for everybody.
yeah, so it's pretty simple. It's a little easier said than done, but it is an outstanding business model in my opinion. So what I do is technically I'm what's called a content publisher. I pay people to write content for me, and then I post it online, and I do so in a nice strategic manner. So for example, I have a golf blog, right? So with that golf blog, I do what's called keyword research, where I go into Google and I look around and see what type of questions are out there and topics that aren't being answered very sufficiently. And chances are you've probably gone to Google, you Google something, and you find yourself scrolling, trying to look for a good answer for something. That for me is opportunity to create content that does answer the question nice and specifically and provide more value in some other ways. So I go online looking for these opportunities, depending on the topic of the website, or what we call in the industry the niche or the niche, depending on where you are in the world. But we pick that. I come up with a whole bunch of topics, probably 50 to 100 of them, and I write a few myself. But then, in order to do this faster, I have the budget to as well. I have writers who write a lot of the content for me. We then edit it, throw it online, make sure it's accurate, correct, looks great, and those articles draw traffic or people in who are looking for it. So now I have content that talks about golf, right? So now I have people on a blog that are interested in golf. And if that's the case, there's products that I can promote to them. There's drivers, there's golf trainings, there's items on Amazon. I can say, hey, by the way, this is what I use. You should go and check it out as well.
Right.
And just by doing that, I get what's called an affiliate commission because I work with these brands. They give me a special little code or link. And when people use it, I get paid for it when they do it. So everybody wins with affiliate marketing, which is why I like it. The manufacturer gets a sale. The person who's looking for something, trying to get out of a jam and help their issue that they're having, they get a good product that fixes that. And then I'm kind of the middleman. I'm right there in the middle that just introduces the brand to the customers. And then I take a small commission from that.
Yeah, so it's a process because everybody always says the best business is giving content, giving knowledge, helping the
Exactly.
customer, and you're doing all of that by giving them questions that they need to answer. So, for example, they're like, "I'm on the green, I'm at 50 yards. What's the best putter to ever use, and why should I use this putter?" You're
Yeah.
going to answer it, and then you're going to show them a couple of putters that will help you at the end with it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I actually have articles like that on the site right now. I have one that's something to the effect of how what club should I use when you're inside 100 yards? I'm ranking like number one for that particular one. So when people read that article, I'll say in it, by the way, this is the club that I use when I'm inside 100 yards, and there's a link that they can click and go to an affiliate of mine. One that I use is called Global Golf,
Mhm.
and they work out really well. Another one that I use is Amazon, and just by doing that, then because people are on that article, they're already interested in trying to improve their game. There's other stuff I can promote to them as well, and it works out pretty well. It's a pretty good business model. It's better than posting on Instagram and all these other places because once the article's out there, it ranks for months or even years sometimes. So it increasingly becomes passive over time.
So the first question people are like, you keep saying putting it out there. Where are we putting it? Where does it go?
Yeah, it goes onto a blog. So when you what a blog is just a collection of articles surrounding one particular topic. When you Google a phrase, 9 times out of 10, a blog pops up that's going to help you answer that question. Or if it's one of those questions where Google kind of gives you the quick answer right there, Google got that answer from a blogger who created it and then put it out there. And then after a while, based on how people respond when they read it, and Google can look at it and say, okay, that must be the right answer. So we're going to put it right front and center. And then we get traffic to our sites because of it. We can do stuff like capture email addresses and promote to people afterwards that we can try to, build up another way of traffic and revenue to our blog. So a blog is just a website that's a collection of articles about a particular topic.
All right. So when you're saying a website, so how many websites do you have then?
As of right now, 7, but I'm only working actively on maybe 3 of them. So, it's a lot of work to keep a blog up and running, but once you kinda have it up and running, it's kinda has a snowball effect, and it just continues to just roll, and then I like to think, you can build up one blog and it can make you a full-time income. The first blog that I put out there didn't do too high. The second blog I did actually got it up to around 20K a month at one point and was doing excellently well. And I have another blog that right now brings in like 400 a month. I got another one that brings in probably like 4 or 5 thousand per month. And you just kind of hold on to them and you work on them. It's like building a house, but then once the house is built, you kind of just change a knob here, change a lock there, fix the shutters. You're just kind of keeping it maintenance as it's going along. So,
Let me break this down for everybody
yeah,
to understand now. So a blog is a website.
correct.
So you put a website out there, but the website is only blogging. There's no videos or information. There's no, hey, check this person or check that person. Here's my CEO. Here's my content. It's just a place to get info.
Well, it has all of those things as well. Um, so, for example, I have a YouTube channel, as well that kind of complements the blog. You don't need a YouTube channel that complements the blog, but it definitely helps because it's just another way that people can connect with you and your brand. There's images out there. It looks nice to look at. It's easy. It gets to the point. It's not one of those you have to read the whole thing just to get the answer right there at the bottom. Answers right there at the top. And then if anyone wants to go dig deeper, then they can just continue reading the article. So,
Mhm.
it's a great area to be able to get targeted traffic to your offers. Blogging really works for anybody, any business. If your audience uses Google at all, then blogging can work for you. It's a way to bring in free leads into your business. I bring in, thousands and thousands of people come to my websites every single month, and then they buy stuff that I recommend, and I don't have to pay Mr. Zuckerberg any money, to have my ad placed in front of this person for whatever reason. I just work within the confines of Google SEO, or search engine optimization, to get
Right.
my articles up front so that when people are looking at it, they find my information and stuff.
All right. Well, let's get to know you and how you do your things a little better. Hey, it's now time for a rapid fire. We're going to pick your brain a little bit more and see how you do your blogs, how you do your thing, and what you like about it. So this is how it happens. I put 2 minutes on the clock, and you get to choose your questions, A, B, C, or D. You get to answer them. You can elaborate, but remember, you got 2 minutes on the clock. So which ones would you like, A, B, C, or D?
Let's go with C, because my first name's Chris.
There you go. All right. 2 minutes start on the clock, starting now. What is success to you?
Success can be defined as so many different things because it's different for every single person. Usually, when I run into someone, one of the first questions I ask them is, "What is your reason for doing this? What is your why?" But then I also add this caveat: it can't just be money. All right. It can't just be, I want to make a few extra bucks. I've run tons of businesses, Charles, and a lot of them didn't do very well because I really just wanted to make a few extra bucks. When I actually had a reason to have a business be successful, when it got tough, when it got hard, then I just kept moving forward with it because it had to work. My why was I wanted to provide a different kind of life for my family, especially my son and my wife. So that's what really the goal was. With that as being my North Star, as being my why, as being my goal, I kept pushing forward regardless of if it got tough. When I wasn't making any money in the very beginning, I still created content because I knew what the end game was. So in order to define success, what is it that you really, really want? And then try to build your business, have that North Star, have that goal, and then work towards it. So for me personally, it was just being able to be home with the family, being able to drop my son off to school every day, and things like that. So some other people, it might be, hey, I want to sit by ties on the beach or something, right? So whatever your goal happens to be, that's what you need to make it. For me, it was family.
All right. Sunset or sunrise? Here we go.
Let's see, sunset or sunrise? I definitely would say sunrise because I do my best thinking in the morning, and then at night I'm just shot.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate 100%.
Favorite cake?
German chocolate cake.
Favorite color?
Blue.
What is the first thing you notice about somebody, real quick?
First thing I notice about someone is their demeanor and how they come across.
Favorite TV show?
Seinfeld.
What's the best compliment you ever gotten?
Someone told me that I had a nice looking dimple. I only have one. It's right here. So,
What's the best fashion advice you ever got?
my cousin used to always tell me, "Pain is pleasure." I mean, pain is pain is beauty, Chris. Pain is beauty. So that's what you always
There you
told
go.
me.
And I'm going to add another one real quick. Favorite number and why?
Favorite number 3 because it's just us 3 right now in the house. So
There you go. Don't go nowhere. We're going to be right back. CMJ Entertainment is a one-stop shop. CMJ Entertainment helps people do any type of events, and it's a marketing tool as well. So we'll cover everything from start to finish. If it's a wedding, we'll make sure your wedding is over the top. And if it's an event, we make sure that everybody gets information at the end of the day. Give us a call at 416-414-8964 or online go to cmjent.com.
Hey, it's okay if you're driving or too busy to take notes. Charles has your parachute packed with all the info you need to jump into success. Check out the links section for all the tools you need to land safe. Now, let's keep falling with Charles and his special guest.
Yes, we are back live. Okay, so before you talked about success, how success is to you, favorite things. How do you see yourself right now being successful?
How do I see myself right now? Um, it's funny when I had the goal, like the main goal when we first started the blogging side of the business was I wanted to have my wife stay home with our son, and the goal was at least until he starts school. And that's what we did. He started school. He's in kindergarten now. But when he started school, I was like, man, I felt accomplished at that point, right? I felt like, okay, I did it. Now what? And that's kind of the idea that we had. So I had to kind of, come up with another goal in order to figure out what success actually meant for me at this point. And one thing that I like doing is impact. Money is money. It's great to have. It helps you buy freedom, which is really what I use it for. So I can be able to do what I want to do. Yeah, it's not like that I don't work. I don't want to let people think that I don't work. It's just I get the liberty of choosing when I want to work. So that's what that is. But right now the goal is really impact. So I'm trying my best to as I see what blogging has done for me in my life, completely has transformed it. So I'm trying my best to try to help other people kind of do the same thing. So just realizing that for a long time I didn't know that there was a better way to really earn revenue. If once I learned that I could generate my own money, I realized that I didn't need a job anymore, and if I could bring other people to that same realization, even if it's not blogging, to be honest, it's just we can own our lives outside of what these corporations want us to think.
Right. The 9 to 5s, working hard, getting up, falling asleep, watching that favorite TV show and falling asleep between it because you're not enjoying it.
Yeah. I used to have when I used to work for a bank long, long time, like maybe more than 10, 12 years ago. And the owner, the CEO of the bank did not even have a computer on his desk because he just had everyone else doing the job for him. I think Puff Daddy or P Diddy, whatever you want to call him, he had a famous quote one time that says, "The reason why you run a business is that you can hire someone to do it for you." So that's kind of the way I look at it. That's why I have writers. I read the 4 Hour Work Week and it kind of changed my life. So that's what I ended up doing is now I pay other people to do it because my time is more valuable. Because I can do something more with it, whether it's spending
Mhm.
time with my son, whether it's doing more higher level stuff, right? Trying to come up with the direction that I'm trying to steer the ship versus actually down in steerage working the ship. So it really just depends on what that is. But that's kind of how I define it.
All right. So let's go back to it. How many blogs do you put out a week?
A week, probably between 10 to 12. I normally average around 30 to 50 blog posts a month.
Hold on. Let's backtrack. You said 10 to 12 blogs a week?
Yeah, per week. Now, granted, I have writers who are helping me. I would throw that part out there. When you're first getting started, you might only be able to put out one a week, which is
Mhm.
fine. That gets you
Right.
there. And 52 weeks in a year, that means you have 50 articles up in about a year's time. When I first
Mhm.
got started, that's how I was doing it, just kind of putting out one, maybe two per week. When I started making revenue and I started having more proof of concept, doubled down on it. I would wake up early in the morning. I'd stay up late. I try to punch in two, sometimes three, but mostly two articles per day for a long time just to get it up and running.
Mhm.
Again, blogging is like a snowball effect. You just gotta, you gotta get it started, and it's tough to get it started at the very beginning, but it's small, and then it goes down the hill, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And once you have that momentum on your side because of that fever pitch of content that you're putting out there, the faster you can see results. So nowadays, I can start up a new blog and have 100 articles out there within a couple of months, and then the website's ready to go.
So how do you backtrack? So do you do the blogs first, blow them all up, then put the website out, or do you slowly add them as you go?
I add them as I go. The way that Google works is that the more time you give your articles to kind of stretch its legs and kind of ferment out there on the internet, the better the opportunity is going to be for it to rank for a long time. I put a new blog post out there. Sometimes a new blog post might rank within a couple of weeks. Sometimes it might take 3 or 4 months before it makes it to number one in Google. So because of that, the sooner you can get it out there, the better. So when I commission 30 articles for the month, excuse me, when I can commission 30 articles or so for the month, I put them out there to my writers. I let them work on them. When I get them all back, either I'll edit it or I have an editor help me with it. just to get the content looking good, nice, good grammar, make sure I fact check it and that it's accurate and all of that fun stuff. Then we throw it onto the website. We add pictures and videos and images and all of that fun stuff just to make it look really nice, very pleasing to the eye, and then get it out there. So no, newer bloggers, I notice a lot, they will kind of hold their site. Okay, when it's ready to go, just go ahead and push the button on it. But no, as soon as an article is ready, I get it out there as fast as possible.
There you go. Don't hold back. You learn from your mistakes. You learn from things. So let's talk about mistakes. What was the number one mistake that you made that you realized, wait a minute, if I just did this, it would have been a popping?
Yeah, yeah. We kind of touched on it earlier, but kind of just trying to always trust free content with stuff. I mean, I remember I worked on that blog for at least a solid 2 to 3 weeks. I had articles up, and at that time I was brand new, so I did kind of wait and then just press go on the site. Had maybe 5 articles. I even borrowed some content from other websites that without asking, which is very unethical, and you shouldn't do that. But I didn't know what I didn't know back then, right? So I went ahead and tried it, and I pressed go, and like absolutely nothing happened. I was waiting for the traffic to flood in. I even went to some of these websites, and they said, "Hey, we can send 10,000 people to your website." And I was like, "Oh, great, for $5." So I go ahead and give them the $5. They send 10,000 people to my website. Not a soul looked at anything. Not a soul bought anything. It was just wasted $5. And because I did that, it got to the point to where Google saw my site as being a spammy site, and they took it out of Google. They de-indexed it to where you couldn't even find it on Google anymore. So that was a lot of wasted time and effort. But because I had a different reason why I was doing this stuff, I knew that it could work. I just needed to follow a better process. So I kept going with it. And, now I build blogs, probably 3-4 times a year.
So then here's the question. Who is your best client for you?
Best client? What do you mean?
How are you helping people right now? If somebody needs
Gotcha. Yeah. So, right now, I have, like everyone has a course. I have a course that kind of shows you how to do it. But one thing I'm trying to dive in deeper is having a more good connection with people. So I also have a community that I'm building up right now, so that people can. Blogging is hard because you got to do it by yourself. We're just sitting here in front of our computers typing. To be honest, my wife even today probably couldn't give you a clear explanation as to what it is that I do. She just knows that it pays the bills. But regardless, it can be a lonely experience because entrepreneurship can be a lonely experience because most people are set to just work a job and then get paid in 2 weeks. When you're working and you're working on your own business, you got to sit there and work with it, even if it's not giving you any returns, because you can see what the returns are going to give you in 4 months, in 6 months, in a year. If you work really hard for about a year and a half, you can generate a site that can completely replace your income. So from that time, from zero to full-time income, it can be tough to do that by yourself, which is why I've created a community to try to help other people do that, not by themselves.
All right, let's go. Getting information, knowledge is key. That's what you need to do. All right, here we go.
Now time for pick 3.
Yes, it's now time for pick 3. What's going to happen is you get to pick your last 3 questions. So I need you to pick from 1 to 13. Give me 3 numbers.
Let's do 12, 3, and 9.
12, 3, and 9. All right, here he goes. What are 3 movies that you would recommend to your audience and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. So, Inception is probably one of my favorite movies. Captain Falcon, Captain Falcon. It's a video game. Captain America and the Winter Soldier is probably one of my favorite ones. And let's see, probably Infinity War. The Avengers Infinity War. I am a Marvel geek, by the way, so that doesn't help. Well, those would be 3 movies. If you had to watch any 3 movies, those would be the ones I'd say go check them out ASAP.
All right, this is not part of the question, but why not?
Why not? What?
Black Panther Part 2. Rank it.
Oh, in terms of like a score of 1 to 10?
Yeah.
I give it a 7.5.
There you go. All right. All right, here it is. Who are 3 people that have been most influential in your life?
That's a great question. 3 people. So the first one would definitely have to be my father. He did. He's a very temperamental. I don't know. Is that the right word? He's a very temperate man. I should say. Maybe not temperamental. That's probably the wrong word. But he's temperate. So meaning he doesn't get too high. He doesn't get too low. He's very consistent. He's the anchor. He's been that way for the family for a very long time. And because of that, I've kind of picked up that same thing. Try not to get too high. Try not to get too low. It can always get worse. It can always get better. So when things seem like chaos is ensuing, being able to use him as an anchor, I've been able to do that same thing for my family up here. When everything seemingly is chaotic, I can go into one particular spot. Another person would definitely have to be my wife. She keeps me grounded for sure. She's very matter of fact, to the point. Some people can kind of get that as, oh, why is she so spicy or whatever, but no, it helps keep us in line, and she does a great job with our son, and it's just an amazing existence. So she's been very influential in making sure that I have the life that I have right now. If it wasn't for her and my son, this wouldn't be a thing, really at all. I'd probably still be working a 9 to 5, not even realizing that there was a different time that you can work in life. Now for a third person, I'd probably have to go with my mother. All right. So I know that might be a cop out, but when it comes to my mother, we can sit down and talk about literally almost everything. It's hard to replace mom, and it's impossible really to replace mom. And the fact that, sometimes I'll have nice, deep conversations with her that I can't have with anybody else. And it could be about the most random things, but she understands how I think, I understand how she thinks, and being able to, have fun with each other, can kind of insult each other, but not take it, too seriously. Can have a differing opinion and not feel as though the other person, is belittling you at all. That's the kind of thing that is hard to replace.
Well, just give you a little bit of advice. You're a smart guy putting your mom in that category right there. Okay? You put your wife, your dad. Boy, if you didn't put your mama in that, I would be.
That would have been tough. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, and that would be one deep conversation we'll end up having, I'm sure.
I can see it now. Oh, I carried you for 9 months. What did your daddy do? I did.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's kind of how it goes.
All right. Big shouts out to all the moms out there. We love you. All right, here we go. Last question. What advice would you give somebody getting into a similar career to yours?
Yeah, I would just say get started now sooner than later. We always can kind of get stuck in this moment where we want to do something, but then never actually do it. One of my favorite sayings is do something now that your future self will thank you for. So work on it now. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is right now. So go ahead, get started. Don't wait, because if you wait, life is inexorably going to get in the way. That's just what life does. It's going to get in the way. So until you get fed up with life enough to where you want to actually make a change and actually just move stuff around and say, you know what, this has got to become a priority, then you're destined to kind of stay where you are. Don't complain about things unless if you can't change them. If you can't change it, you learn to deal with it. If you can change it, do something about it.
And there you go. All right. Before we let you go, my friend, you talked about YouTube. You talked about the blogging. Give us your YouTube channel and what blog website we can go to.
Yeah, definitely go to bloggerevolution.com. There you can find my podcast. It's also called Blogger Evolution. Or you can find me on YouTube at Blogger Evolution or at Benji's Dad. Those will be the best places to find me. Yeah.
And I'm going to put those links in the description. And if you want to make sure you want the email, I'm putting that up there as well. And you can go to his website. And here's the thing. Shout him out. If you're looking to take the course, link it. He knows what he's talking about. You can see he's a smiley man. He's happy. He's good lucky. That comes from being your own boss. All right. And that's what keeps somebody. When you're your own boss, you smile different. You brush your teeth in the morning different.
The air is fresher. The food tastes better. It's all that.
My friend, thank you so much for joining. This was a great interview. I appreciate your time to coming down.
I had a great time. Thanks so much, Charles.
All right, everybody. Like I always say, you didn't have to listen. You didn't have to watch. But I'm so glad that you did. It's your time. It's time to get out there and jump. Make that money. Be your own boss. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Has come to an end, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like,